Bonjour and welcome to French Action. One of my students completed a piece of writing which I would like to share with you along with my corrections. If you're interested, please stay with us. Vous êtes prêts? C'est parti! Voici les instructions. Voici le début d'un article de presse. Terminez cet article en ajoutant à la suite un texte de 80 mots minimum en faisant plusieurs paragraphes. En vacances, vendredi après-midi, un salarié de Luxor a été découvert par des policiers et des pompiers à son domicile et en pleine forme. Before we start reading, you may have noticed that there are some words in red. This means that it's incorrect. So you need to find out the correction before I tell you what it should be. So let's read together. L'employé a été retrouvé un jour après que les pompiers ont confirmé la cause de l'énorme incendie de midi au Luxor comme accidentel et comme résultat d'une fuite de gaz. Selon la police, le 23 novembre vers 11h30, les témoins ont raconté avoir entendu une forte explosion et ensuite ils ont vu les grandes flammes venant des fenêtres et de la porte du bâtiment du magasin. Certaines ont pleuré en parlant des cris des gens à l'intérieur. So there were two mistakes, les grandes flammes and certaines. So with les grandes flammes, you need to remember that when you have an adjective which is plural placed before a noun, the les changes into de. And the second mistake, certaines, I'm not sure why it was put in the feminine form. It should be just certain because you're going to include male and females. Okay? If you say certaines, it only includes females. So let's continue, but you're going to see that there's two tenses which have been highlighted. This is just because the student was supposed to show me that she was using the pluperfect or the imperfect, okay? So that's why it's there. Otherwise, we're just going to focus on the red. OK? Donc, 2 jours après, les enquêteurs ont annoncé la cause de l'horrible tragédie et aussi ils ont vérifié que 5 employés et 2 clients sont morts dans le feu. Cependant, vendredi, les policiers ont visité au domicile de l'un des employés après avoir été informés que l'homme avait été vu vivant. Les détails nouveaux ont montré que le travailleur était en vacances et n'est rentré chez lui qu'hier. Alors, qui est le Joe Doe? Qui est le John Doe, I should say. So, 2 clients sont morts. She should have said 2 clients étaient morts using the pluperfect because the first part of the sentence was in the passé composé already. So that's the reason why you needed to use the pluperfect. Then you have les policiers ont visité au domicile. You cannot say that. One, you cannot visit a place like a flat or a house because you're going to that place. The only way you're going to use visit is if, for example, you're looking for an apartment or a house and you have to visit it to see whether or not you're going to rent it or buy it. But if you're going to pay a visit to somebody or go to somebody's place, you're not going to use visiter. So that was incorrect. And the second thing is that if you use visiter, visiter is direct, so you don't have O. Okay, you would have, like, if you say to visit a museum, you would say visiter le musée, not au musée. So I prefer to use se rendre, or if you didn't know se rendre, aller. Les policiers sont allés au domicile. That would have worked as well. And for the last one was après avoir été informé. The S is missing here because of the preceding direct object. So remember that avoir is placed before. So you need to have the S because the direct object is placed before avoir. Okay, so to see all this, you have to go back to the original text. So les détails nouveaux should be changed to nouveau détail because remember, nouveau is an adjective which is normally placed before the noun. But because nouveau is plural, then we'll have to use de instead of les. We've just seen that earlier. So we'll need to say de nouveaux détails. For the second one, we are not going to say n'est rentré. Okay, we're going to say n'était rentré. We're going to use the pluperfect. And for qui est le John Doe, I'm not too sure why the le. I would just say qui est John Doe or qui est ce John Doe. So now I'm going to give you my version just to show you how my student could have improved the text. So my version is on the right, okay? So, l'employé a été retrouvé un jour après que les pompiers ont confirmé que la cause de l'énorme incendie de midi au Luxor était accidentelle et résultait d'une fuite de gaz. So here I changed this because I really didn't like comme accidentel et comme résultat, particularly because of the repetition of comme. So to get around this, it was easier for me to put accidentel as she had put it actually. The only problem is that accidentel here was incorrect because what was accidentel was the cause, right? Était accidentel. So, et résultait d'une fuite de gaz and resulted and was the result of a gas leak. Okay, so that's why I put it like that and I use the imperfect. Selon la police, le 23 novembre vers 11h30, des témoins ont raconté avoir entendu une forte explosion, puis avoir vu de grandes flammes s'échapper des fenêtres et de la porte du bâtiment du magasin. Certains ont pleuré en décrivant les cris des personnes à l'intérieur. So here I wanted to change a little bit the vocabulary. Okay, les grandes flammes venant des fenêtres, I didn't like. It was very much like in English we would say coming from the windows. So I use s'échapper, escaping from the windows. And then certains ont pleuré en parlant des cris instead of using parlant, maybe using a verb which is a bit more precise, like describing. Okay, en décrivant. And then I didn't like the word des gens à l'intérieur. Why? Because gens usually refers to a group of people and it's very vague, whereas person, you are really being very specific and we are talking about those who were stuck in the building. So I thought person would be better here than gens. 2 jours plus tard, les enquêteurs ont annoncé la cause de l'horrible tragédie et ont également confirmé que 5 employés et 2 clients étaient morts dans l'incendie. So here, instead of using après, 2 jours plus tard, 2 days later. And later on, we had aussi in the original text. Et aussi, ils ont vérifié, I didn't like that at all. It didn't flow well. So I said, et ont également confirmé que. Également means as well. It means also it's the same thing. Okay, it's a bit longer, but I think it works better in terms of where it is placed and the fact that it flows better. Remember what I've said in previous videos. When you write, make sure that you read your text aloud so that you can hear if it flows. You will see if it doesn't flow. You will hear it. And then you remember that my student had put deux clients sont mortes. Well, you can't have morte with an E here because the employé and client, we don't know if they were just female, and we have employé without an extra E, so it's more likely to be males. So we're going to be using more. But because we have the verb before confirmer, I use as well confirmer instead of vérifier. Donc, because confirmer was in the past, then you needed to use the pluperfect afterwards. Cependant, vendredi, les policiers se sont rendus au domicile de l'un des employés après avoir été informés que l'homme avait été vu vivant. De nouveaux détails ont révélé que ce dernier était en vacances et n'était rentré chez lui qu'hier. Il a échappé belle. Okay, so here I underline se sont rendus, which is another way of saying to visit or to go to somebody's place. So I put se sont rendus, which is reflexive, se rendre. And then I underline ce dernier. Alors, ce dernier always refers to the person we talked about before. So, we're talking about the man. So, ce dernier. And then, because we had the past tense, de nouveaux détails ont révélé que, then we have to use the pluperfect. Il n'était rentré chez lui qu'hier, because the action had taken place before they mentioned the details, okay? And then for the last part, alors qui est le John Doe? I didn't quite like that because I wasn't sure why it's there. The man was on holiday, had the right to be on holiday. And at the end of the day, we don't need to find out who he was because we're just happy that he was still there. But if you used it, then I would just say, alors qui est ce John Doe? So I would accept that. However, I prefer to use il a échappé belle, which is an expression which means to have a narrow escape. For me, it was a narrow escape because if he wasn't on holiday, maybe he would have died as well. Okay. So now my general comments, I would say that overall is a good piece of writing. Unfortunately, there were a few mistakes related to the use of the tenses, so be careful. If you have the first clause in the passé composé and the other action happened, the second action happened before the first one, you have to remember to use the pluperfect. And then beware of making things feminine. The student has a tendency to put things in the feminine form by adding is each time when it's not the case. So you need to check the gender beforehand. And then this is just a general thing which I have mentioned, but I want to repeat it. Don't forget to read your writing aloud. And the reason why you would do that is to hear if it flows. If it doesn't, it means that you'll have to do something. It might be a word you have to change, or maybe 2 words, but you'll have to do something to that sentence so that it flows much better. And also, my last point, try to avoid repetitions if it's possible. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and please like it, share it, and of course, don't forget to subscribe. Au revoir!